We've all grown used to the fact that we don't get answers in this house, so perhaps you could give us advice about whether ministers are ever actually going to answer a question. But then he decides to abuse me and insult me personally.
All right, Britain, brace yourselves. What you're about to see is not just another day in Westminster. It's a parliamentary takedown so sharp, so painfully revealing, it makes political theater look like amateur hour. Picture this: the Prime Minister under fire, the opposition striking with precision, and the entire chamber holding its breath. This wasn't debate, it was dissection. Every exchange stripped bare the facade of control, exposing the raw nerve of a government under pressure. Before we roll the footage, a brief note: if you value independent political analysis, the kind that cuts through the noise and tells you what's really happening in British politics, make sure you're subscribed. Over 98% of viewers watch but never subscribe. It's free, and it helps us keep delivering unfiltered coverage the mainstream avoids. Now, with that said, let's return to Westminster, where today's session turned from routine questioning into one of the most uncomfortable public grillings in recent memory.
Nick Timothy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I want to remind the Foreign Secretary that the government that invited Huawei into our telecommunications network was actually the last Labour government between 2003 and 2006.
Long memories.
He's tried to be partisan about it. The ebb and flow of these issues and the mistakes go back quite a long time, and he should acknowledge that. And will he rule out any Chinese involvement in our energy infrastructure?
I'm really going to take no lectures from the Honourable Gentleman, whose advice to former Prime Minister May led to the possibility of nuclear information being revealed. He should be embarrassed, and I'm surprised he came to this debate this afternoon.
You need to withdraw.
Neil Shackleton.
You need to withdraw. Thank you very much.
Point of order, Nick Timothy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. We've all grown used to the fact that we don't get answers in this house, so perhaps you could give us advice about whether ministers are ever actually going to answer a question. But then he decides to abuse me and insult me personally about advice he claims I gave to the Prime Minister in a former role I had. He has no idea what advice I gave in that job. And if he cares so much about my personal history, he would actually read all the things I've ever written about the role of Chinese companies in our energy infrastructure. So I'd like him to take the opportunity to withdraw that accusation.
Madam Deputy Speaker, it is a matter of record that former Prime Minister May was considering matters that pertain to our nuclear capability. The Honourable Member was an advisor at that stage, and she had to withdraw her recommendations on the China General Nuclear Company. That is a matter of record, and anyone in this chamber can Google it.
Now picture this. The House of Commons is tense. The air thick with formality, ties straight, voices strained, tempers ready to ignite. Enter David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, carrying himself with the confidence of a man who believes every answer is his to deliver. And yet, moments later proves that confidence can sometimes mask confusion. Across from him stands Nick Timothy, calm, focused and unflinchingly prepared. A strategist by trade, not a showman. He's poised like a man who knows exactly where the weakness lies and plans to expose it. "Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker," Timothy begins, voice measured. He doesn't grandstand. He doesn't raise his tone. But behind every word is precision and intent. His question lands with quiet force. Why did Labour years ago invite Huawei into Britain's communications network, a decision now haunting our national security? That's when the temperature in the chamber shifts. Lammy stiffens. His face hardens. You can almost feel the panic behind the composure, but because Timothy isn't making noise. He's making sense. And instead of addressing the question, instead of confronting the uncomfortable truth that Labour's history with foreign tech investment is now a national liability, Lammy deflects. He pivots from policy to personality. "I won't take lectures from that honourable gentleman," he snaps, the old parliamentary defence mechanism. Dismiss, distract, and divert. It's a tactic as old as Westminster itself. When you can't answer it, attack the man asking. Lammy then bizarrely suggests that Timothy should be embarrassed for even showing up to the debate. A strange accusation, given Timothy's only crime appears to be... Knowing the facts, Timothy doesn't bite. He simply smiles. that quiet, knowing smile of a man who's seen this play out before. "We don't get answers in this house," he says flatly. It's not just a rebuttal. It's an indictment. Then comes Lammy's unraveling. He waves around the phrase public record as if repeating it will make the details any clearer. He insists the former Prime Minister, Theresa May, was forced to withdraw certain recommendations due to Chinese involvement, implying, somehow, that Timothy himself was responsible. It's an accusation that doesn't hold water, but it makes noise, and in modern politics, sometimes noise is all that's needed to fill the silence of accountability, and then, the moment that seals it, Lammy leans on the classic modern-day crutch. Google it. Yes, in the House of Commons. The Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom telling his opponent, live, to Google it. It's absurd, but also revealing. A symbol of how debate has devolved, not to data, but to digital deflection. When pressed on matters of national security, the answer is not found in briefing notes or intelligence reports, but in search engines. Meanwhile, Timothy stays still, composed, watching Lammy's performance collapse under its own weight. What began as a policy question has now become a live demonstration of evasion, arrogance, and a lack of clarity at the very heart of government. And here lies the real story, beneath the theatrics, beneath the soundbites. Should the UK, a nation that prides itself on sovereignty and security, allow any level of foreign influence in critical infrastructure, especially from a country known for surveillance and strategic interference? It's a question that deserves an answer. Instead, the House got a show. Lammy's defense turns desperate, more emotion than evidence. The chamber watches, weary. Even the speaker seems resigned to the noise. By the end, there's silence, the kind of silence that follows a lost argument. So what did we witness? Not just a clash of personalities, but a case study in how political discourse has eroded. The Foreign Secretary dodged, deflected, and derailed, but offered no direction. 3 lessons stand out. First, Google is not a source of truth in Parliament. Second, if you challenge someone who lived the policy, don't rewrite history while they're sitting 10 feet away. And third, volume does not equal victory. Tonight, one thing is clear. When the government is cornered on competence, deflection becomes the only defense. And as the chamber settles, one truth remains. The question that Nick Timothy asked still hasn't been answered.